his story be told.
The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp, starring Hugh O'Brien.
Ned Buntline was a celebrated author of dime novel thrillers. He was also a friend and admirer of Wyatt Earp, to whom he presented the long-barreled Colt 45 known as the Buntline Special. But every time their paths crossed, Mr. Buntline got himself in trouble and dragged Wyatt into it.
Say, ain't you Mr. Ned Buntline?
Buntline? Never heard of the fellow.
Well, what might your name be?
Smith. Arnold Smith, sir. My good man, will you see that my luggage gets to the Cosmopolitan Hotel? Thank you.
Mr. Buntline.
And for me, there's only one author in the world to write my story. The king of the dime novels, Ned Buntline. I want to avenge my husband's death. I want to set tons of dynamite under Arizona territory and blow up the whole rotten mess.
What an idea for a book. The Widow's Revenge. You like that for a title?
You think it would sell?
Sell. Like a mother-lode gold mine, my dear lady. First a book, and then magazine articles, then newspaper series. That is, providing you can document this expose. Because my readers demand authenticity.
I have my husband's records and ledgers. Names, dates, the amount of cash paid for graft, all the facts on the 10% ring.
Excellent, excellent. And then for contrast and drama, we'll tell your personal story. Against her wishes, she was the Queen of the Outlaws. Hey, that's not a bad title either.
Well...
of course, my dear lady, I realize that your personal life was above reproach. I'm merely suggesting that there might have been, temptations?
Yes. Yes, there were.
Of a romantic nature, perhaps? Well, I'll handle that delicately and with good taste, because Ned Buntline's heroines are often tempted, but they always fight for and preserve their good names.
I'm not worried about that.
Well, we'll start to work tomorrow morning, eh?
Oh, I'd rather talk business right now. How much will there be in this for me? Money.
Oh, yes, money, of course. Well, I was thinking in terms of $5,000.
Not enough. Not nearly enough for the risk I'm taking. Well, I know too much. If my husband's enemies find out what I'm doing, they'll gun me down. Oh, I'm terrified. Please, please take me to New York.
To New York? Oh, my dear lady. Oh, confound that waiter. Will you excuse me? I told you I was not to be disturbed.
Good evening. I'm Marshal Earp.
Good evening. I am Arnold Smith, sir. And this lady is my sister.
Ma'am?
May I ask the reason for this visit, sir?
Hello, Mr. Buntline.
Hello, Wyatt. Oh, dear.
And aren't you Mrs. Amy Jones?
What if I am?
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Now, confound it, Wyatt. My meeting with this lady is legal and it's respectable, and I may remind you it's confidential.
Yes, we don't wish to be disturbed.
Well, I'm sorry, but I won't be able to oblige. You'll have to come along with me.
You mean you're arresting me? On what grounds?
Giving false information to a police officer.
Just a moment. Pay him off and tell him nothing.
Pay Wyatt off? Wyatt Earp? This man is the quintessence of integrity and honor.
Well, let's not argue with Mrs. Jones. She's had men killed for less than that, Mr. Buntline. I'll see you later, Mrs. Jones.
Well, I'll see you later, too. I will not stand for this, because this And this novel she wants me to write about her husband will sell over 500,000 copies. I can see it on the stands now. The Queen of the Outlaws. An authentic story of Arizona's vicious 10% ring.
Well, how do you know it's authentic?
She has proof in writing. Her husband kept records.
There are no records. Thad Jones was too smart for that.
And why must you interfere? Here I am doing a public service, but oh no. You, my old friend, want to arrest me on some trumped-up nothing.
Mr. Buntline, please. You are not under arrest. I am just trying to help you.
I owe my readers that book, and they shall have it.
All right, go ahead and write it. You'll both be killed.
And I shall not be frightened, and I shall not be swerved, and I shall not... Killed, did you say?
Mr. Buntline, Thad Jones was murdered. He was shot from ambush by his own men. Now, if the 10% ring ever finds out that Mrs. Jones aims to expose him in a book, your book, well, it would happen just like that.
Oh, Wyatt. I'm trapped.
Trapped?
My publisher advanced me $10,000 on this book.
Well, give it back to him.
I've already spent it, and I'm in debt.
You haven't changed a bit, have you, Mr. Buntline? Look, you want to take my advice? Forget the whole thing. Leave town tonight and write yourself another novel.
Wyatt, you don't seem to understand. There's much more at stake than just a book. Why, from the first moment I saw Amy.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Wyatt, she's so alive. She's so exciting. She's the woman I've been waiting for all my life. And what's more important, she needs me. She's scared to death, Wyatt, and she wants me to take her to New York.
But the 10% gunman will follow her wherever she goes.
Nonsense. Once we're out of Arizona territory, we'll be safe.
Mr. Buntline, you keep on with this, you'll be safe, all right. 6 feet underground. Now, Mrs. Jones, I want the names and descriptions of the Tucson hoodlums that might be sent here to kill you, like they killed your husband.
You've no right to question me.
As long as you're here in Tombstone, it's my job to see that you don't get hurt.
But I'm not staying here. Mr. Buntline has taken me to New York, and I won't let you talk him out of it. Gunslingers don't scare me, especially here in Wyatt Earp's town.
Why don't you forget the whole thing?
Not a chance. I've waited too long to meet Ned Buntline, and when he takes me to New York, I'll have everything I want. I'll be rich.
Mrs. Jones, Mr. Buntline hasn't got a quarter to his name, not 1 quarter.
After we get to New York, I'll change all that.
If you get to New York. Right now, Mr. Buntline couldn't buy you a stagecoach ticket to Benson.
Mr. Earp, I don't think you understand me. Put yourself in my position. I'm a helpless widow alone in Arizona territory. Am I to be deprived of my right to live? Please, please give me that chance.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do.
Did anyone ever tell you you're a handsome man, Mr. Earp? Very handsome. Why don't you protect me? I'd enjoy that.
All I want are the names of those gunslingers.
Is that all you ever think about? Well, you're wasting your time. And mine. Good night, Mr. Earp.
Good night, Mrs. Jones.
Amy Jones knows too much, and she talks too much. Get rid of her.
I still say it's better to wait till she gets out of Tombstone.
Afraid of Wyatt Earp?
I've done too much for you 10%ers to take that kind of talk.
You'll take it and like it.
We pulled tougher jobs than this before you knew which end of a gun did what. Now head on into Tombstone and get it over with, or we'll do it for you.
As a rule, I eat very lightly. But sharing breakfast with you seems to stimulate my appetite.
Ned, take me to New York today.
You are so direct with things. I've never met a woman like you.
There's a stagecoach leaving for Benson this afternoon. We can catch a train from there.
Well, I must say the prospect is intriguing, but I don't think a gentleman should
Are you a gentleman?
Well,
Well, I'm no lady. I'm a woman.
Marshal Earp. Come on over.
What's the matter?
There are 3 gunslingers from Tucson on the way up here. You get in the bedroom.
No, give me a gun.
You'd be more dangerous than the gunslingers. Now get inside there.
If you need any assistance, you call on me.
Sure. Now, as soon as they knock, you answer. You get in there, too. Take that side. No.
Mrs. Jones.
Who is it? Look out!
Get him over to Dr. Goodfellow. Are you hit?
No, I think I'm going to faint.
Not you. Come on, stand up.
Amy!
Oh.
Amy, my brave, my beautiful. Yes, I will take you away from all this.
Oh, Ned.
Yes. And Wyatt, don't you try to stop us.
Get moving.
Just a moment. I'll take my gun back if you don't mind.
You get that when you leave Tombstone. It's against the law to carry a gun in this town. Here. I suggest you read that. Move.
Ned, I can't stand it here another minute. Can't we leave now?
Well, the truth is, I'm a little short of cash. I'll have to telegraph to my publishers for some more money.
By then it may be too late. For both of us. There'll be more gunslingers.
Amy, what else can we do? Oh, what a time to be financially embarrassed.
Don't worry, darling. I'll get the money.
But how?
You just leave that to me.
Well, Doc Goodfeller says he's gonna live.
Yeah. In Yuma prison for the next 20 years, along with all his friends.
20 years.
Unless, of course, you're willing to cooperate with the law. Now, who sent you here?
It was our own idea.
Nobody in Tucson had anything to do with it, huh? How much does Amy Jones really know about the 10% ring? Who else came with you?
Why don't you just lock me up and leave me alone? I never seen a man so anxious to get locked up before. You what?
No, I never have. We'll lock him up, all right. We have a nice, clean cell for you.
Pay you $1,000 for a story, Mrs. Jones? Well, that's impossible.
I don't think so, Mr. Dameron. Especially after all my husband did for you. Now let's get down to cases. How would you like to have written proof that Wyatt Earp accepted bribes?
From a 10% ring? Well, I don't believe it.
My husband was too smart to involve the ring. He made Earp sign receipts for loans from the Bank of Tucson. And you know who owns that.
10%ers.
They sent me here. They're out to trap Earp one way or another.
What about those Tucson gunslingers that tried to kill you last night?
They came here to get Ned Buntline. They know he plans to write a book exposing the 10% ring.
Why do I have to pay for evidence against Earp? I'm working for the 10%ers.
The crowd in Tucson figures you've made enough money. It's time you paid some of it back.
Well, take a day or so for me to put my hands on that much cash.
I want the cash now.
You drive a harder bargain than your husband did.
So I've been told. The money, please. We are on our way.
But that's $1,000.
It's only the beginning.
I don't understand. A few hours ago, you were desperate. You didn't know which way to turn.
Until I remembered how much my story was worth.
Oh, you didn't sell that to somebody else.
Only a little piece of it. To Dameron, the publisher of the Nugget.
But the Dameron paper is backed by the 10% ring. Wyatt told me all about it. That's the same crowd that murdered your husband and tried to kill you.
I took care of all of that. When Mr. Earp reads tonight's newspaper, he's going to wish he never heard of Amy Jones.
What are you talking about? What's Wyatt got to do with it? Just what did you sell to Dameron?
Just a few receipts signed by Marshal Earp, proving that he accepted bribes.
What?
You know, he's a very crooked man.
I don't believe you.
And there are plenty more where those came from. Well, whose signature is that?
It's Wyatt's handwriting, all right. All these years, I thought he was an honest man.
Every man is honest until it comes to money. Are you packed?
Huh? Oh, yes.
Then get us on that stagecoach to Benson. And if it's filled, rent a carriage. I'll meet you in front of the hotel with all the luggage.
But, Amy,
Hurry!
Wyatt! Wyatt, how could you do it?
Do what?
Take bribes from the 10% ring.
What bribes?
Now, don't make it worse by trying to deny it.
Let's go inside.
Thank you, Porter.
Now, what is this?
Wyatt, you took money from the 10%ers. And Dameron's going to publish the story. Now, I saw the receipts that you signed with my own eyes. And it was your handwriting.
And you believed it? Somebody forged my signature, and I have a pretty good idea who that someone is.
Well, who would... Oh, no. No, that couldn't be. Amy wouldn't do such a thing.
The forgery is just one of her many accomplishments. I know her record. She's been in and out of prison half her life.
Not Amy. I don't believe it. She's one of the most wonderful women I've ever met, and I will not permit you to malign her.
Mr. Buntline, I don't understand you being taken this way. You're a man of the world. Can't you see that you're being used? Now, if you take her to New York, she'll bleed you white and drop you like a hot horseshoe.
Oh, yes? Well, then why should she give me all this money that she got from Dameron?
Can you catch a fish without bait? This would make a good piece of evidence.
Evidence?
Against Mrs. Jones. And as far as Dameron is concerned, he can print that story, and I'll sue him for libel and slander. You still don't believe me, do you? All right, I'll prove it to you.
Wait here, Mr. Buntline. Well, what's happening? Violet! Amy!
Take care of him.
Amy! Amy! Oh, thank heaven you're all right.
Where have you been? What about the stagecoach tickets?
Before you go anywhere, suppose we all go over and have a nice little talk with Mr. Dameron. Marshal Wyatt Earp accused of taking bribes from the 10% ring. Well, now, Mr. Dameron, I'm mighty happy you printed that story. It ought to be worth at least $100,000 in any court. Not to mention 5 or 10 years in jail for libel, slander, and collusion.
I've got the receipts right here, and you signed them. I've seen your signature 1,000 times.
And so has Mrs. Jones.
It's really a very easy handwriting to copy.
Amy.
Well, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Well, what about my $1,000?
Well, now, the only way you're going to get that back is in court. Of course, I might be willing to drop charges, providing you made a donation to some worthy charity, like the Ladies' Aid Society in Tombstone, for instance.
Well, whatever you say, Marshal.
Mr. Dameron, you burn all those papers. Come on, Mrs. Jones.
Well, Marshal, what's going to happen to me? I've got to get out of town.
Compliments to the Ladies' Aid Society. This ought to be enough to get you far away from Tombstone.
$100? I got 1,000.
10%. Being a member of the ring, that puts you right back where you started from. Goodbye, Mrs. Jones.
Gad, Wyatt, it could have been so wonderful.
Why don't you use your imagination and write a book about her instead? Be a lot safer.
Say, that's a great idea. You know what I'll call it?
What?
The Wicked Widow.
Well, he cleaned up the country, the old Wild West country. He made law and order prevail. And none can deny it, the legend of Wyatt forever will live on the trail.
Oh, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told.